Well, hi, everybody. It's Ron Hoon, and this is your personal invitation to spend some time with us this morning. Fox 10 Talks, we're about a minute and 10 seconds away. Yeah, there's been some new information that's kind of changed the narrative about that Sunday morning when it was first discovered that Nancy Guthrie had gone missing. We're going to get into that. Coming up in our 11 o'clock hour, we actually have a former hostage negotiator, a retired Navy SEAL who has really interesting perspective on it all. And hey, are they finally going to figure out a way that people can have the Monday after Super Bowl off once and for all? Looks like there's a plan in the works. It's all coming up on Fox 10 Talk. Stick with us. It's 10 o'clock, and this is Fox 10 Talks. There is some new information this morning that changes the narrative about those crucial hours on Sunday when Nancy's friends and family members grew more and more worried about her disappearance, and we're going to dig into that this morning. So we are glad that you are spending some time with us. Let's see. There we go. I'm Ron Hoon, and we're glad to be able to spend some time with you this morning. This is Fox 10 Talks, where you get a chance to kind of move the conversation along during the 2 hours that we are on YouTube. It's a chance for you to interact, and we love looking at all of your comments and suggestions and questions as well. But we are going to get to Danielle Miller in about 60 seconds to try to give you some of the latest information. The deadline came and passed yesterday, and still no sign of Nancy. But let me also just roll out our poll question this morning, because it's getting plenty of talk. The unfavorable ratings a year ago, in February of last year, President Trump was positive in his favorability ratings, and it's now gone negative, maybe about the most negative of his second term in office. So what do you think? What's going on here? 25% say it's the ICE raids and the shootings. Almost 10% saying still hasn't fixed the economy. We need more jobs, higher paying jobs. And what about inflation? And 66% are saying he's actually not getting enough credit for all that he's accomplished. So you can join us for that conversation as well. But now on to the latest information. The understanding had been that Nancy Guthrie did not show up for her church service in Tucson on that Sunday morning, nor did she attend the virtual church service. Now we find out that she would usually tune in to a live stream of a church service broadcast from a church in New York City that her daughter Savannah attended in person on Sunday. And it makes perfect sense, right? Later in the day, maybe mom and daughter would spend a little time talking about the sermon they had heard, something along those lines. So it makes perfect sense. So she and her fellow worshipers would take turns to watch the service in each other's homes, according to Fox News. That's all of this reporting. So when Nancy failed to turn up to watch with friends on the morning of February 1st, something did not seem right, and that was right away. So earlier it was thought that she had failed to turn up for or log on to a virtual service at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, where she'd been a member for a long time there in Tucson. And so that had been raising questions about how Nancy had been missed if nobody knew whether she had logged on to watch or not. So now we know. She would go to a friend's house. They would watch this church service together. It was kind of a rotating deal with probably people right there in the neighborhood. But it does fill in a few more of the blanks. Let's do this now as we get going in our 10 o'clock hour. Our Danielle Miller has been reporting for us since early this morning and is still on scene there in the neighborhood, Danielle. And there were a lot of high hopes yesterday, I think, that maybe something would have happened, what with the deadline and the family saying, quote, "we will pay." And so where does the investigation stand now?
Yeah, as of right now, Ron, there is really no major breaks in the case, and that is really what happened yesterday. Unfortunately, no breaks in the case, especially after that deadline happened at 5 p.m. We do know Savannah posted that additional video yesterday, really calling the public, asking for the public's help. If you see something, say something. So really not geared towards any type of potential kidnapper or the ransom note, really just going after the public's help, and that is exactly what the FBI is doing as well. So the FBI did release a statement. That is the newest news that we have so far. They were telling us that they're not aware of any communication between the Guthries and a potential kidnapper so far. So that is the update there. They're also telling us that a suspect or person of interest is still not being released at this time. They haven't identified anybody in this case as of yet. So still so many questions in this case. As far as where we are right now, this is Tucson. This is Nancy's home just outside. This is where she was last seen. We do know that 10 days ago or so, but you can see just a really heavy media presence and not really a lot of people outside of law enforcement as well as just the media out here. We do know that a Pima County deputy is going to be on site here for the remainder of this investigation. That is what the Sheriff's Department has told us. This is really just for safety, also just keeping a close eye on Nancy's home out here. We did see this deputy kind of walking the property and the perimeter all morning long so far. But it is worthy noting that Savannah did not directly address or even reference any ransom or potential kidnappers, which is pretty different than those previous videos posted by the family. Meanwhile, outside Nancy's home, once again, we're here. You can see there is a tribute to the family, just really showing their support for the Guthries. You can see this poster here. There's a candle, there's a rock with "Please pray, bring her home." So you can see the neighboring neighbors and people here in the Tucson community really stepping up to just support the family in this case. But Ron, still so many questions, really hoping for some answers. But according to the Pima County Sheriff's Department, they're not going to provide any type of media release or really any type of briefing that we have seen so far until there is a break in the case.
Yeah, one of the things I found so interesting about the release of Savannah's most recent video, Danielle, you just referenced it, was the time frame. I mean, if they had, in fact, if the family had been in direct contact with the alleged kidnappers, I mean, in our business, we're always trained to be skeptical. So who knows, who these people were that had reached out to them or actually, frankly, to a local TV station and to TMZ. But if that 5 o'clock deadline was real and the family had continued to be in touch with them and had even paid part or all of that ransom money, I would have thought that they would have just gone into total radio silence. And the fact that a few hours before the 5 p.m. deadline comes out, at that point, Savannah decides to release a video that almost felt like, now what do we do? Now where do we go? Now we just need your help in the public.
Yeah, and we have heard that ransom note, the 5 o'clock deadline for Monday, had a more significant consequence. That is just those reports that were coming out about that. We're not sure what that significant consequence was or if that happened since that deadline has now passed. So still, once again, a lot of questions surrounding that. But as we mentioned before, the tone of the latest video released is a little bit different than what Savannah has put out before.
And one other question for you. You've driven around this Tucson neighborhood. We see it in the bright light of day, but there were obviously no cameras. There are not even any street lights where city or law enforcement could put cameras on those streets. How far away would you have to drive out of that neighborhood to where you would be in regular traffic where there would be cameras nearby? I mean, are we talking about 100 yards? Are we talking about a quarter of a mile? You've driven it. What can you tell us?
I would say about a mile. Yes, this neighborhood, when it's nighttime, is extremely dark. These houses are very spread apart. That's not to say if they do have any type of camera footage. They have not released anything to us. But as it has been mentioned before, I mean, even if you have your headlights on out here, it is just very dark, no street lights. But I would say about a mile away, that is when you hit. It's Orange Grove. That is one of the main roads outside of this neighborhood. There's, I believe, a middle school or a high school just outside. But the closest gas station, really, or just kind of like food places, I would say that's a good 10 minutes away from where we are right here in the neighborhood.
Okay, and Celeste joins us well now. Celeste, we're getting a question from Brandy, the bookworm, it looks like, about proof of life and, kind of where it stands in that regard.
Danielle, have you heard any neighbors speaking out there, any new developments on any kind of what they're hoping happens next, or what they, as they watch kind of some of the authorities kind of sift still through some of what remains on property out there?
Yeah, there hasn't really been a ton of activity out here outside of the media. I mean, there is a ton of activity in terms of the media, but we've seen a few neighbors walking, a lot of people walking their dogs. Obviously everybody's just really concerned out here. We did see since day one, there was a sign out there that said, the Guthrie family, we're with you, we support you. But we have noticed there are a few additional things there in front of the home. There's a candle, there's a rock, I believe there's a religious figurine. So it does appear that more people are stopping by, leaving things here. But as far as the neighbors, I mean, pretty quiet out here. These houses are pretty spread apart, so not a lot of activity outside of the media. We do have the law enforcement vehicle as well.
I think we might be able to squeeze one more quick question in with you, Danielle. Brandy is asking in the chat, what about this? There had been a report over the weekend that law enforcement, I guess maybe FBI, had been removing what could have been evidence bags from the sisters' home. Are you able to confirm that? And what do we know about whether the investigation is at all shifting that direction?
Yeah, that I'm unaware of. I wasn't here for that, but I did see reports about that. So yes, there has been law enforcement activity here at Nancy's home as well as the daughter's home. From the outside, from video that we have seen, there was flashing inside the home. So we're assuming that's maybe some photographs being taken. As far as any type of involvement, if they're pointing that direction, nothing like that has been confirmed or even discussed with us from the FBI.
All right, Danielle, thanks very much for your report for us this morning.
Thank you, Danielle.
And we do, Celeste, here, I'm just trying to punch up I got a 2-shot with you and me here. We're going to, there, we got you anyway. We just don't have that old 2-shot. Okay, so anyway, let's just get everybody up to speed on what an expert, a cyber expert, had to say. Speaking to Fox 10 just over the last 24 hours, really interesting perspective here.
Most important thing here is going to be a human error. I really think whoever's behind this and behind the email is going to make a mistake, not utilizing the right types of technology, and that one mistake is going to be what ends up getting them caught.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so that would be one thing, Celeste, just in terms of, what they can, what they are potentially able to do in terms of making a mistake, and maybe that's why they pulled back, and we haven't heard anything more from the alleged kidnappers.
Well, and I think it's a lot of times, and this is coming from one of the press conferences where the FBI was sharing some information. They said there's a lot of things they don't share. There's a lot of things they don't share because they're not entirely sure if they're going to move in this direction or that direction. But I did read in a New York Times article, I think it was late last night, about a vehicle being towed and some of the items, as Brandy, as you were mentioning, some of those items being taken as well.
Okay, we're going to keep an eye on all those developments right now. We go to break, and would you take a look at this mystery camp?
Ooh. It's very foggy.
Okay, now, no fair to go search Royal Door Knock. We'll be right back. All right, everybody. Welcome back. Mystery Cam. What do you think? I see a Pennsylvania, Celeste.
Yes. A Pennsylvania. Let's see, what else do we have up there? A Missouri from B. Miguel.
Yeah. I'm thinking this is because it's royal.
Yes.
And, we fought a war over royalty.
We
like
did.
100 and 200 years ago.
Yes.
So, plus. I'm thinking it's somewhere overseas.
Me too. I'm going to go with Paul Humphrey.
What's he saying?
UK.
Okay.
Yeah, but
okay to the UK. All right, just to shake it up a little bit, I'll go Scotland. Well, no, so UK, are you thinking it is the UK? Are you thinking England, Wales, or Scotland, or Northern Ireland?
I'm going to go with Northern Ireland.
Okay, and I will go with Scotland.
Okay.
All right.
So here's the mystery camera.
Okay, and here's Celeste with the answer.
And here is... Oh, Scotland.
Oh, it is Scotland.
It is Scotland.
Ooh, okay. What a dreary
wow.
day.
This is why the Queen of Scots was like, get me out of here.
Well, unfortunately for her...
it didn't work out so well for her in the end. But
I think in the end, she would have been super happy to have been gotten out of there.
That is her story is one of the best. So, Ron,
it is one of the best.
Well, what I mean is, it's one of the best in that it's a great story. And Ron, you love history.
Yes, right.
So it's right up your alley.
Well, you know what? Sisters are great. What was that old song from the TV show or the movie White Christmas, right? Sisters. Sisters. We can't really sing it. But anyway, they're supposed to get along.
Yeah.
But in this case, Elizabeth and Mary, Queen of Scots,
did not get along.
Definitely did not.
No, it didn't. She kill her sister? She cut her head off.
Yeah,
Queen of Scots. That's what happened.
Correct.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Okay. And by the way, don't do that to your sister. Yeah, but we do have some breaking news to bring you here
let's get
this morning.
That right away.
So now that we've went ahead and shared the mystery camera to many of you.
We are waiting for this. I see a note from Dave here. Says he's, let's see.
This is related to the Guthrie case.
Yep. Let's go to Dave right now.
Yeah, let's go to Dave.
Family. What are you hearing, Dave?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So just in, authorities are set to release a surveillance photo showing a potential subject in the investigation into the disappearance of Today co-anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother. This is according to two senior law enforcement officials. The FBI said yesterday it had not identified any suspects or persons of interest. So this is brand new. As soon as we get that photo, we will pass it along to you. But we'll be monitoring for that.
You know, that could really help in this search.
Well, here's the thing.
We're like, what, 9 days in?
With each passing day, the worries grow more and more that she's no longer alive.
Yeah.
And whether this at some point turns from a kidnapping case to a homicide case, we will learn over time. But if there's and you wonder, is it from that one gas station? Remember, there had been some questions about a Circle K not far from there. All right, so we're going to just stand by. Just stick with us, because as soon as that comes in, we will share it with you.
All right.
Okay, so Celeste.
Yes, sir.
Look who joins
Hey,
us.
Val.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi,
it's
good
good
morning.
The Isabella fan club has just been up in arms.
We've missed Bells on the show. We haven't had her as much. And your vision in fuchsia. It's your color.
Thank you so
pretty.
much. Thank you.
You've been busy since the moment you got in. What with these hearings going on Capitol Hill? Hot seat time, right?
You know what? There's a pressure cooker happening on Capitol Hill right now.
Okay.
We have leaders in ICE immigrations, Border Patrol. They are testifying right now to House representatives. So we have the Democrat side. They are saying that the ICE immigration efforts have been too aggressive. This comes after there has been a lot of stuff going down in Minnesota, from the 2 people that passed away to just some protests going on. And for the most part, the Republican representatives are saying that these ICE agents are just doing their jobs. However, some Republicans are even saying that maybe things are getting too aggressive. So this morning, we have been live streaming this conference right now. I have been listening in, and I did pull a soundbite for us to listen to. It's about 2 minutes, but basically a Democratic representative has been questioning Todd Lyons. He is the standing director of ICE right now, asking him if he'll step down, asking him to address the 2 deaths that have happened, if he's fired anybody. So we can take a listen to that and we can chat.
Okay.
How many ICE agents have been fired for their conduct under your leadership?
Sir, I can get you that data. I'll get that back to you.
Is it more than one?
I'm not going to speak about personnel actions, but I'll get you that data.
Can you tell us if at least, God, I hope at least one person has been fired for their conduct since these operations have begun? Are you telling us you can't even say one person's been fired?
Sir, I'm not going to talk about personnel actions, but we will get back to you.
But 2 people have been killed so far. Is that right? A nurse named Preddy and a mom named Good. 2 people have been killed so far.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lyons, will you apologize to the family of Renee Good for being called a domestic terrorist by the president and his leadership?
No, sir.
Why not?
Sir, I welcome the opportunity to speak to the family in private, but I'm not going to comment on any active investigation.
Is she a domestic terrorist?
Sir, I'm not going to comment on the investigation, and the president and Secretary Noem are elected officials. That's their right to their comments, but as career law enforcement, we won't speak to any.
Do you agree with their comments?
Sir, I'm not going to go ahead and talk about any ongoing investigation.
Will you apologize to the family of Alex Preddy for also being called a domestic terrorist?
Sir, again, I'm not going to speak to any ongoing investigation.
Mr. Lyons, your staying to lead ICE is a decision.
Sir, I'm sorry. Could you repeat
Your
that?
staying on to lead ICE is a decision. And I've read your background. You have a decorated career. You've served in the military. You are what I would call otherwise employable. I think most people would agree this is not the only job that you can get. It's a decision to stay on at this point. And considering your honorable service in the past and the dishonorable acts that those who have worked for you have conducted, and the disgraceful statements that the leadership above you have said, you now have a decision. Will you stand with the kids who you're supposed to protect, or will you side with the killers bringing terror to our streets? Mr. Lyons, will you resign from ICE?
No, sir, I won't.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty dramatic as well.
It was.
Yeah. So it's just been a lot of back and forth, a lot of both criticism from one side, others saying they're just doing their job. And of course, we do know that their funding is running out. So if we don't get to an agreement by Friday, we could face a loss of funding for ICE.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Bella. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bella. Pretty heated there.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to move into our poll question this morning, which, by the way, is what's been going on with ICE. Is that playing a role in the dropping polling numbers for President Donald Trump? Here's what it looks like right now. 21% of you are saying that is the number one reason. Now, Celeste.
Yes.
In February of last year, shortly after he was inaugurated, President Trump had a favorable rating. 49% positive to 47% negative. Then by last summer, he was underwater, but only by 5 or 6 percentage points. Now it's closer to 11 points that he's underwater. Almost 54% unfavorable to 43% favorable. So is it because of what's happening with ICE? Is it that the economy isn't fixed? Or do you think maybe he's just not getting enough credit for all he's accomplished? That's what it looks like. How's YouTube looking?
Oh, my goodness. It's about, all equal for the most part. Take a look at some of the numbers. This is pretty wild. In the last couple of hours, we have about 570 votes on this one. ICE raids and shootings, 30% say, that could be the number one reason why he has unfavorable ratings right now. He still hasn't fixed the economy, 32%. And 38%, he's not getting enough credit for all he's accomplished. By the way, for all you folks on television or watching on our Fox Local app, go to our YouTube channel if you can, and join the conversation there on our Fox 10 Phoenix YouTube page.
Let's go to Dave and see what he's seeing.
Well, hello, friends. Dark Lightning 2730 says, from what I remember from NPR, most people voted for Donald Trump in the first place so he could fix the economy. And given that he ain't fulfilling their wishes, it leaves more to be desired. And Bill Moretz 8718 says it takes time to turn the economy. Plus, Trump is a great campaigner, but not good at explaining how the policies will benefit people. He needs to find someone who can and heavily promote them. Really good comments. We love hearing from you guys. Keep them up. And remember, you can comment on fox10phoenix.com/poll, as well as on our YouTube page.
Thank you, Big D.
Yeah.
Now, Celeste, you had an interesting conversation. We can loop Dave back around
Yes.
because he's a man with a lot of opinions.
And And he's a very smart man.
He's a
got
very smart man.
opinions.
He'll give us some wisdom. But all this chat that you and Beth were having today about can we just have a day off after the Super Bowl?
Oh, yes.
Now, I think it's a bigger deal if you're living on the East Coast because the game out here will end at what, like 8:30, 8:45?
Right.
But if you're back there, it's going to be closer to 11 o'clock at night.
Well, I think, though, still, I mean, let's say you're partying at your house and you got people over there late, and then you got to clean the kitchen and you're putting it gets late on a Sunday night.
Right.
So Beth McDonald at 99.9 KEZ here in town, we were chatting about this very idea. Next year, the Super Bowl is going to be on Valentine's Day. Okay, which is the day before President's Day. So next year for the Super Bowl, everybody, if your work allows you, you will have the Monday after Super Bowl off.
For President's Day.
So
finally, they've pushed the calendar late enough to make it match up with President's Day, which I think was always kind of a thought that the NFL had.
Yes.
Because a 3-day weekend, especially, what if you're going to the game?
Yeah,
you
no kidding.
Fly home.
Exactly.
Have you seen Sky Harbor the day after a Super Bowl?
It's crazy. The best time to fly is during the Super Bowl, but that's another conversation.
Right?
But so the idea is that in the future, maybe this is something that they'll continue to do.
All right, let's find out if Dave's got an opinion about this. What do you think, Dave?
Well, hello, friends.
Slide the Super Bowl all the way down to mid-February, maybe even later, so that it always lines up with President's Day, and it's a 3-day. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you saw, but we have some engineers hiding in the corner. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on the Super Bowl, but we are all in favor of as many days off as humanly possible. So if they want to do it after the Super Bowl, after President's Day, whatever, we'll take those days off and we'll enjoy them.
Yes, soak them up.
Yeah, now that I think about it, Celeste, there's some kind of movement afoot in some of these state legislators to do a 32-hour work week instead of a 40. That would be a 4-day work week. We'd finally reach that every Monday or every Friday.
Yeah, no kidding. Huh? Does that mean they want to work half of that? Because they don't really work as long as we do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I'm pretty tough on those lawmakers. They need to work out this government shutdown potential thing for sure.
I know it. Okay, so time for a break. Now, here's what's coming up after the 10:30 break. We got a lot coming your way, including what if you're drinking coffee. They've done a study now where people, they fear dementia, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is it good or bad for you? It's all coming up. All right, everybody, welcome back. Yes, there are many portions of the eastern half of our country that look so cold and snowy that I think when, especially the New England Patriots got out of there and got to spend a couple of days in the warmer weather of the West Coast, they probably were pretty happy.
I know. Yeah. They were spending some night. And the weather at Levi Stadium for the Super Bowl looked amazing.
It sure did.
Oh, they had, the NFL did a great job. They were kind of showcasing the city with the Golden Gate Bridge, and you could see the sun shining and the sunset, the whole thing. It was beautiful.
Gosh. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so if you drink coffee in the morning, you're going to really be interested in this. There's some new research showing that your morning coffee might have an impact on your brain longer term.
Okay.
They found a link between daily caffeine consumption and a lower risk of dementia. Now, I don't know why. I mean, we can speculate about it.
How much coffee are we talking about, Ron?
Let's find out. Well, first of all, Celeste, how much do you drink in the morning? Are you a 1 cup, 2 cup, or 3 cup in the morning?
I'm probably a 3 cup. I do 1 cup in the morning at 3 a.m.
Okay.
I do 1 cup
while you're reading your Bible?
Yes.
Ooh, man.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So while I'm reading my Bible, doing my reading my prayers at 3 a.m., I drink my coffee. I pour myself another one on my way out the door.
Okay.
Yeah. And then a couple hours later, and then I have another one mid-show.
Okay.
So I have...
So that's like 600 milligrams. Good for you.
Probably, yeah.
Right? Okay. So this research finds that people who drank 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day
raise the roof.
Had an 18% lower risk of dementia.
Ron.
Daily tea drinkers, same kind of thing. And they're saying it's caffeine related.
Yeah.
It's not the ingredient in the coffee. So however you like, I drink a non-aspartame soda.
Yes.
To get my caffeine. It looks like we're all of us caffeine ears
drinkers
are maybe going to do okay.
Yes.
Right?
I was going to say that's why us women remember everything. Like,
you know
is
that what it's all
about? Do you
about?
Remember when you did that? Do you remember when you said that to me?
Yeah. Oh, no. Believe me.
When you remember when you said that you were going to love all my imperfections.
Correct. Is it, will our AI robots, which supposedly that's just another 2 or 3 years away, can they join the convo? When it starts to come, I'm speaking on behalf of the husband.
Oh, like therapy. They're not only do they clean your house.
Hold on one moment, ma'am.
They're therapists along with cleaning your house and doing your laundry.
It is true that you have a mind like a steel trap. But anyway, Celeste, here's the question. Will Gen Z successfully change Valentine's Day? And does it need to be changed a little bit anyway? New survey out today said about half of Gen Z says the whole thing is outdated. And it includes, they say, what about people that have been through breakups? What about people that don't have a special someone and feel left out? They want it to be more inclusive, including celebrating the fact that you don't have anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people do that already. Maybe they go out with a group of girls, right?
Yes.
Or something like that. Or have a bunch of friends over to the house. You have a movie night.
Yes.
You know? I mean, I think that's been happening for a long time.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so
I don't think anything's going to happen to this holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, ho-hum.
Ho-hum. What needs to change? I mean, basically, the flowers, right?
Yeah.
I heard an ad today that said, it was on like a sports channel, and it said, guys, even though she says she doesn't want anything, you at least got to get her flowers.
At least.
Okay.
Go to Trader Joe's, spend $15.
On flowers?
Yeah.
They don't raise their rates around Valentine's? Because a lot of these places do.
TJ's is amazing.
Okay.
They have one of the best floral little corners, and it's super inexpensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Hot tip for the dudes out there.
Hot tip.
All right. So it's viewer voicemail time. This is one of our favorite new segments, Celeste, and this has to do with you. So listen in closely. Ready? Here we go.
I would love to hear more information about Syleste Rodriguez family history from Arizona. I had heard one time that she had said something about her family had been in Arizona for many, many, many years, and I would love to hear about it. Thank you.
How nice is that?
Yeah.
Celeste?
So,
Okay.
Ron, you asked me for a photo, but I didn't have time to grab one in the middle of the show.
Okay.
And I was chatting with Dave about this. So he said, you don't need one. That's fine. And I'll bring him to you when it comes.
Okay.
But my family has been in Arizona since before it was a state.
Wow.
And we're in the Tempe Historical Museum.
Yeah. Your actual family.
My family,
is
yes.
in the museum.
Is in the museum. Is one of the first 5 families of Tempe.
So this would be your great grandma and grandpa.
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe one of them was like a deputy sheriff under Carl Hayden.
Oh, nice.
They helped kind of build up. There's like 5 different Hispanic families that were here that had traveled from northern Mexico and from Tucson north before Arizona was a state in the 1800s.
Wow.
And then they settled all around a mountain. And I grew up going to Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church in Tempe, and that was one of the first churches built in Tempe back in the 1800s.
That's so great.
And I never knew all this. It's kind of tying it all together. But then I started looking online at the Tempe Historical Museum, and when you look online, you see that they actually started integrating all of the research, and so you can read it. And it talked about how the Sosas, that's my family, the Sosa family, is traced back to the conquistadors.
Wow.
And so it's really interesting. I was chatting with Ty about it on the show this morning. He's like, you should do a story on that. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
And then you can create these albums. My grandmother and grandfather are in one of the albums there. And you can create an album they'll let you and put your kids in there and Gary and me. And it kind of traces back all of your, for generations to come.
That's
so they can look back on it.
That is so great.
So it's pretty cool.
Worth going to the museum.
Yeah.
The Historical Museum.
I can't wait to learn more. Thank you for the question, by the way, from our viewer voicemail. That was we love hearing from you guys.
Yeah. By the way, viewer voicemail, we showed you the number, but let me see. Do we have a graphic on that?
Do we have the digits?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, I think we do. Stand by. Oh, no, that's one we're going to show in a minute. Oh, well, you know what?
That is also a historic photo.
This is a historical photo, Celeste. It's now been 44 years since I started here at this TV station.
I love this.
Back then it was called Cool TV, and it was hilarious because even on the hottest days of the year in like June and July, the receptionist at the time had to answer the phone the exact same way every time.
Oh.
It's cool in Phoenix. It's cool in Phoenix.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I just wonder if she got some pushback from people. Everyone, no, it's not.
They're grumpy.
It's hotter than you know where. But anyway, so I posted this and I said, because this goes back to, this is from my buddy Jeff Hollifield, who used to be a photographer here a long time ago. He just snapped it kind of behind the scenes. So can you identify anybody else in that photo? This is what I was asking folks to take a look.
Is that Dave Muncy?
No. It's not. But
On the
in
far
his
end?
youthful days, he kind of looks like David.
Yeah.
That's Ed Phillips. Remember Ed Phillips Weather all those years on KTAR radio?
I do remember the name.
And then closest to you is Tim Healy, the beloved longtime voice of the ASU Sun Devils.
Oh, wow.
And so he also started here.
That's
and then
amazing.
I got a lot of guesses saying, is that Mary Jo?
Yes.
Because Mary Jo West, of course, was the first woman to ever anchor here in Phoenix. But that was actually, she started, I did work with her, but she started before I ever got here, which was
Is that Diane?
That's Diane Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Diane Ryan is a gem.
Oh,
also, as well as Mary Jo. I did that story on Mary Jo. Just wonderful women. Yes.
Yeah. So back in those days, we called it News Center 10. But if you want to go comment on it, it is on my Instagram page, which is Hooner Fox 10.
Yeah.
And Celeste, remind everybody how to find you on the gram.
We are also accepting new followers, Ron.
Both of us.
Both of us. We love to
Nice.
chat with people.
Good.
It's temporary, so you got to go there right now. But it's
The phone lines are only open for an hour.
It's Syleste Fox 10.
Yeah.
And just remember, Celeste is spelled with an S. S-Y.
S-Y.
L-E-S-T-E. Like Sylvester, but
Don't
not with
let
the
it
V.
spell check you to Sylvester somebody or other. Stick with Celeste.
Sylvester Stallone.
Okay, so also, Celeste, I feel like this is your segment because you had a story today about tipping that I think could generate, I think in general people are fed up with tipflation, as they call it, or tip mania or whatever it is. But this one suggestion really brought out a lot of chatter.
It really did. And so here's the story. There's this new tipflation outrage. This was on Reddit. Somebody posted this idea. They said they claimed that a pizza delivery guy, they delivered the pizza, the pizza spot. They asked for a tip for the delivery driver, but then they also asked for a tip for whoever made the pizza at the shop.
So it was two different lines?
Yes.
Like you want to tip to this person and you want to tip to this person?
Yes, it was an additional charge. And so it kind of started this whole conversation about, do you tip the delivery driver? Obviously you do, but do you then tip the person who's making the pizza back at the pizza shop? And it's like, okay, I don't know about all that. I mean, they're doing a good job, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But maybe they should that should be built into his salary or his hourly pay.
Right.
So give us your ideas in the chat, by the way, because this is kind of a hot topic. And many of you guys have chimed in, Ron, on that work week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chatter in the chat this morning, by the way.
Okay.
So, Ron, they say also that look at young Ron, how awesome with your photo.
Thank you, Celeste, very much.
Brandy the Bookworm says, congratulations, Ron, on 44 years.
Thank you, Brandy.
And then B Cortez 91 says, Celeste needs to do a meet and greet at Trader Joe's. Haha, I've grown up. I've grown up going to TJ's, and I'm there 3 days a week.
Oh, that's such a great idea.
We were just there last night again buying the dumplings.
Could you think about the layout of the store of the Trader Joe's?
Yes.
And you could do an autograph signing session. Would it be back by where the produce is or more up by the cashiers? Where would you do your meet and greet and autographs?
I would do it by the flower section right next to the orchids.
Oh.
I love orchids.
Oh, my gosh.
$14.99.
Hey, speaking of stuff we love, what about this, Celeste? Do you love a good shamrock shake? Before I know it, I'm going to be getting a call from the folks at the Phoenix St. Patrick's Day Festival.
Yes.
Saying, Hooner, once again, can you come be the MC of the St. Patrick's Day Parade right on 3rd Street there at about Palm Lane? And that's just one great tradition in our city. But the word is some food bloggers are out there saying that the shamrock shake will be available 1 week from today. So mark your calendars for Feb 17. And that makes perfect sense because then you'd have a whole month to enjoy them before St. Patrick's Day.
So true. So it's kind of like a mint and chip type thing, right? Mint type of shake. I think that's going to be very popular.
Well, so Anita told a hilarious story on the TV show this morning. She's like, I kept bugging my dad when I was a kid in Chicago. Let's go to McDonald's. I want a shake. And she said she took one sip of it or one taste of it and said, it's way too minty. I don't like it.
And she hasn't had one since.
Oh, no.
They do have a great, though, ice cream cone, by the way.
Okay. We'll be right back. It's 10:45. If you've just kind of stumbled across this program and you're wondering what it is, we are live from Phoenix and Fox 10, which we do the morning TV show.
Yes.
A long time, 4:30 to 10 a.m. But then at 10, we now do 2 more hours here on YouTube. It's Ron and Celeste.
Hello.
And we are standing by. Law enforcement reportedly is at any moment now going to release a photo of somebody in Tucson, an image of somebody that they want to talk to. This is, I don't believe this is a suspect or a prime suspect. At least they're not saying that yet.
No.
But it would be in that person of interest category.
Yeah, and it's a surveillance photo that's what we're hearing. And this is the first time we've had some real movement, I feel like, in the case. I mean, over the weekend, you heard about items being taken into custody for examination, a vehicle been taken in for examination, but now an actual photograph of somebody taken from surveillance footage. So as soon as they release that information, we're going to share that with you. And anytime they have, this is the beauty of this platform, is that anytime they have new information or a press conference, we can bring that to you live right here and hang with it for a considerable amount of time so that you get all the information that you need.
Okay. So we're staying on top of that. But in the meantime, the release of this body cam video, Celeste, I think has a lot of people talking. It shows how chaotic a situation can be when an officer arrives on scene and there had been a home invasion out in the West Valley.
Yeah,
and
pretty scary stuff.
We're going to show you some of the video. Could be considered graphic by some people. Officers responded to a 911 call into a family home. Police say the first officer was pointed to the home by neighbors. Home security video shows people flagging the officer down, saying, look, they got the bad guy on the ground. They got the man on the ground. But the officer gets in there and reports seeing a struggle in the home. One of the officers yells for the men to show their hands. Neither complied. The officer opens fire and shoots the homeowner here in this situation, Christian Diaz, but later said he thought that was the person who was the home invader. Here you can watch and listen to some of this.
Most important thing here is going to be a human error. I really think whoever's behind this and behind the email.
Stand by. We're going to bring that to you here in about 10 seconds. So this is a case that goes back several weeks, Celeste.
It does, and it was a very chaotic scene, as you can imagine. Officers arrive. There's like a scuffle going in the house. This guy is an intruder in the home, and there's a scuffle going on. So we have the video for you now.
Oops, hold on.
I would love to hear.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Dude, I thought he was stabbing him.
So that was a quick listen there to some of the body cam footage, and you were able to see it. And here's another piece of that body camera footage as well, as those officers are walking down that street and in and out of that home. Pretty frightening ordeal for that family. And then here's another piece of the video. Of course, Phoenix Police Department releasing this, as you can see.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, so just so chaotic, and our law enforcement officers are called upon almost on a daily basis to deal with violent situations, whether it's in Phoenix or any one of the other 20 or so cities here in the Metro Phoenix area. So, we'll see where it goes from here, but DPS, as is standard, is now investigating. And so more to come on that story for sure. Celeste, one other story. By the way, we got a guest we're really looking forward to here on how to avoid scams around Valentine's Day. But retail sales came in this morning, and they were really disappointing for the month of December. Kind of a backlog situation. Normally we would have got that in January. Here we are in February. But basically they did not go up. And when you consider that everything on a year-by-year basis is costing about 3% more every year, on a per item basis, it sounds like the numbers may have actually dropped. But it seemed to me when I was out at the stores, it was super busy.
It seemed as though anyway,
Yeah. So let's just, here we go on this. It's consumers pulled their spending into October and November.
Yes.
Because of the deals that could be found out there. And it did seem like you heard a lot of people saying, I'm shopping in October.
Yes.
And
early.
in November.
And so that's probably why U.S. retail sales were flat in December.
I guess so.
Because a lot of people were able to get it out of the way early. You saw a lot of people. I mean, some folks shop early anyway.
Yeah.
But you saw a lot of the sales. I mean, Prime on Amazon now starts like in the summer.
Yes, right.
They have like 2 or 3 Prime days throughout the course of the summer and then the fall.
Yeah.
So you did have U.S. retail sales flat in December of 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So in the chat, you can let us know. Did you get your Christmas shopping done early this year?
Yeah.
Did you shop in October?
Or maybe what are you doing for Valentine's Day? Are you calling it a day and going to stay in the house and Netflix and chill?
There you go.
Make some popcorn, or are you going to head out and venture out and into the jungle?
I got a new show I'm watching on Netflix. I got a new show.
Yeah.
It's called Borgen. And
that sounds very romantic.
It is it's a political thriller set in Denmark.
Oh. Is there a romance here?
It's all dubbed in.
Is there romance at all?
But Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do you have to watch it? If you're not in a relationship and you're just going to hang out, you and the TV, do you really want to watch a rom-com?
No, but your wife's not going to watch. Maybe Renee will watch.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get to Marni, because this is a segment we've been looking forward to.
Yes.
This is the time of year for love, Celeste, as you've just been implying.
Yes.
So let's talk to Marni Gibson. She's with the Security Administration Association. Sounds like a big deal for sure. Let's bring her in now on our Zoom. And Marni, I know that you guys, with your group, you really keep an eye out for some of these romance scams. What's a typical kind of scam that you're seeing nowadays?
So first, thank you for having me. Happy Valentine's Day. Timing is perfect on this one. So romance scams. Really, there's any sort of relationship that is formed online. That could be a friendship, a relationship, a romantic partner. And the guise is to steal money. So it's really just a scam to cover for a money theft.
So, Marni, give us an idea of how they approach you. Do they slide into your DMs on Instagram, try to hook you there? Is it an email? And what are they asking for?
It could be any of those things. So many of us are on social media, but they could also reach out to you through text message or email. So really any way that they can reach you is how a scammer will try to get to you. And, you're wondering, so what are they doing? How does this work? So you start off with just a normal relationship, or what it seems to be a normal relationship. And then before long, the underlying tone becomes about money. So it's either I need money, or I have this great investment and I would love you to put this in because, you're my friend and I trust you so much. So would love for you to enjoy this opportunity with me.
Okay, so then how do you protect, especially it seems like the worst of the worst scammers that are out there end up trying to target the elderly.
Yeah.
And so I remember my sister told me the story. My mom, who lived into her 90s, my sister walked into the house one day and my mom was on the phone saying, okay, so where do you want me to send the money?
Yeah, it's scary.
I mean, it happens all the time. How do we protect our older family members?
So it's really difficult, and part of that is knowledge. And so, again, thank you for having me today and allowing me to share this information. So the key thing is to really focus on those red flags and make sure that our older Americans know what those red flags are. So if someone does not want to meet you in person and just continues to have this relationship online and online only or by the phone, like with your mother, then that's a red flag. Who doesn't want to meet in person? So keep that in mind. So what else can we do? Really pay attention to the relationships. If someone starts to be guarded and doesn't want to share information with you like a relative, then, that's another red flag that maybe the person on the other end is telling them, don't talk to anyone else about me. So that, again, really keep those that you care about close to you and keep an eye on them, especially this time of year when you're preying on those that don't have anyone else.
Yeah, that's pretty frightening. So let's say you do receive some of these, messages or phone call or text message. Once you give them anything, it's gone, right? There's no recourse at that point.
There's not. So we as regulators do the best we can to try to get that money back. And the best way to get anything back, if it's at all possible, is to contact us as soon as possible. And a big part and problem of that is the embarrassment factor. So for anyone that's watching this and feels like you're a victim, do not be embarrassed. Do not be embarrassed. Share that information. Reach out to the regulators, and we'll do the best we can to help you. And if nothing else, stop someone else from falling victim to the same scam.
Okay, Marni, excellent. We see it's NASAA right behind you, which is, I'm sure, the website we can go check out. But that stands for what again?
It's the North American Securities Administrators Association. So it's a mouthful. So just think the NASA that you know with an extra A, NASAA.org.
I love it.
And you can actually, there's a map on there, so you can actually just click on your state, and it'll give you information for your local state. And so you
what
can
a great
talk
idea.
to someone in Arizona.
Could you try to come up with a catchier name for the organization? I mean, it's just...
if you say NASA, it might be confusing with space.
NASA plus A, but then I think we'd have to put the plus in there.
Yeah.
So think NASA and the extra A, and we're happy to help you.
I like scammers back off.
Oh, yeah.
.org.
Or else.
Something like that.
That's better. That's
Excellent.
better. That's much catchier.
Marni, thank you.
Thank you, Marni.
All right, Celeste.
Thank you so much.
Can you believe we already need to say our goodbyes?
What?
And here's the perfect way to do it. Ready?
Okay, let's do it.
roll the snow in Utah. You know, everybody. Hold on, you guys. I'm looking for VO8.
She is scrolling something. Maybe she's looking at snow.
Okay, I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. No, VO8. Okay, all right.
Okay, and then shopping. Maybe you're shopping for Valentine's Day.
Maybe
Ron, are you getting your beautiful wife some jewelry?
Yeah, I was going to buy that very item, but now that the cat's out of the bag, now I can't. Okay, so look at this from Brighton. That's actually one of my favorite ski resorts up there. I think people, maybe, they don't realize you fly up there in 90 minutes.
Yes.
And it's 45 minutes from, by the way, the car is at the airport. You don't have to get on a bus and go 6 miles. The car's right there. And then in 45 minutes, you're at the ski hill.
Wow.
But they're finally, and you can see it still looks like, a lot of rocks out there, but at least they're starting to get the snow up in beautiful Utah.
That is the beautiful thing about flying into Salt Lake. You have, like a handful of ski mountains all within about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not like going, flying into Denver and then you got to drive a couple of hours through the mountains. And I think that's probably why, so many of those mountains are so popular. So,
yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We so appreciate it.
Should we clear out of here for Ty and Anita?
Probably.
Let's do it.
Well, unless we want them to sit on our lap. That would be kind of weird.
Could get cozy, but weird.
All right, welcome on in. Fox 10 Talks continues now at 11, and we are following some pretty significant breaking news at this hour. Just 7 minutes ago, in fact, FBI Director Kash Patel tweeted out some additional photos, or I guess the first photos that we have seen of a potential suspect in the Nancy Guthrie case. We are working to get those for you so we can show them to you. As soon as we get those up, will you give me a... Oh, here they are right now.
VO1. There we go. We have 4 separate... images that have been released, and this is new security cam images that show a potential suspect, a subject in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. And so what you're looking at is the view from the Nest doorbell cam as this is being released, and this is in the disappearance of 84-year-old mother of Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie dropped off at her home outside Tucson on the night of January 31st. So we have now entered the 10th day of this search.
Now, of course, we were talking about the surveillance video, or the cameras rather, that were on the front of her house, and they were saying how they were inaccessible. But according to Kash Patel, again, regarding the tweet, he says, working with our partners, as of this morning, law enforcement has uncovered this previously inaccessible new images showing an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance. So again, this is what we're getting here this morning. So some big developments. We want to get right out to Amalia Roy. She is in Tucson at Nancy Guthrie's house this morning with the very latest.
Amalia, good morning to you. What is the latest buzz of these images that have been released?
Yeah, that'll look much better. Yes, good morning. This is the latest that we've had in this case, where there have not been many updates. There's no press briefing scheduled for today, I'm told, by Pima County. But looking at these images, we can see this is the first sign of a suspect, in which we have not had a suspect since Nancy Guthrie's disappearance on Sunday. You can see them here wearing a mask, wearing gloves, possibly appearing to cover up this security camera. Now, since the beginning, the conversation of where surveillance video is has been huge in this investigation. And in his post on X, Kash Patel mentions that it has been a long process of getting this information because of video footage from Nancy Guthrie's home, and he says, in quote, that may have been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors, including the removal of recording devices. The video was recovered from residual data located in back-end systems. And so this is the first glimpse that we are getting. This is also coming at the same time that a second deadline for a ransom to be paid for the return of Nancy Guthrie has come and went yesterday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
Savannah put out a video herself yesterday, and this was, I believe, the third of all videos. And this time she was solo, and she was not addressing a suspect or suspects, but she was instead talking to the public, asking, pleading for help, for tips, for any information that would lead to her mother.
Yes, she was. She was thanking the public, but saying that even if people are not in Arizona, saying that they are around the country, that any little bit helps. She says that the situation is desperate by this point.
So we're not expecting any more press conferences. We're not expecting any more information throughout the day. However, is there concern that this second deadline passed? We are now entering almost a full day with this second deadline. And as far as the reports that we've been getting, people have been checking the Bitcoin accounts and nothing has been paid. Do we know, is there any word out there as to what could potentially happen next?
Well, first, it is important to mention that investigators have not said whether these ransom notes are credible. Shortly after that second deadline passed, the FBI did put out a statement saying, in part, for more than a week, FBI agents, analysts, and professional staff have worked around the clock to reunite Nancy Guthrie with her family. The FBI is not aware of any communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person person of interest in the case at this time. Now, we do have that photo that's come out, but this face is covered, and so we still have not heard from law enforcement, from the FBI or the Pima County Sheriff's Department about any identified suspect. And again, the Pima County Sheriff's Department says that they are not holding any press briefings at this time regarding these photos being released.
All right, and I believe you did speak to some individuals. We have that sound now, so I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk to you on the other side of that, Amalia. Just 1 second.
No matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
Yes, Savannah Guthrie and her family talking about this time of desperation. Now, the FBI being partially releasing these photos, also taking a more visible role in this investigation. Now, 10 days on, the FBI has shown billboards, put up billboards along roads surrounding interstates that are around Arizona, all throughout the Southwest. It shows a description of Nancy Guthrie and says that people can call the tip line, which is 1-800-CALL-FBI.
So we know that those billboards were put up around the Tucson area, the Phoenix area, almost immediately. And then earlier this morning, we reported that they're in El Paso, they're in Albuquerque, they're in Dallas, they're in Los Angeles, neighboring cities and states. The tip line, do we know if the FBI is receiving many tips? I know they had a press conference last Thursday where they talked about tips coming in, how tips are. Are we moving anywhere closer with those? Are we getting more information that could help in this investigation?
At this point, there are still no identifiable suspects or person of interest. The Pima County Sheriff's Department is saying that they have not identified a vehicle right now that could have been used. But at this point, they are still taking all these tips seriously and investigating any leads that they can find.
And you know, with this new development just coming out minutes ago with this suspect description, who knows if this might spur on some more tips, and this could potentially be the break in the case that they have been hoping for. I know that they have been hoping to get some sort of surveillance, but obviously they were having difficulty accessing those surveillance cameras that were in front of Nancy Guthrie's house. So this potentially could help in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely, and we do hope so. Thank you so much for your report. We really appreciate it.
All right, let's go ahead. Thank you, Amalia. Let's go ahead and show those photos one more time. And again, this just breaking here this morning that we are getting additional photos. These were tweeted out by the FBI Director Kash Patel about 10 minutes ago that shows what they believe is the suspect at the front door of Nancy Guthrie's home. You see that they are wearing a mask, very covered from head to toe, basically. So it's kind of hard to get any type of, I guess, discerning information about who this potential person may be. Now, according to the law enforcement, that this individual potentially took that camera, they were really having difficulty because at the last press conference that they had, they were talking about how there was no subscription that was purchased to basically look back at some past video footage. So they have sent this camera in or somehow able to get this video. And it looks, you can see in the top right hand corner, it looks like it was a Nest cam that was outside. So this is what we are learning here on this Tuesday morning.
And that's one of the things that Kash Patel mentioned, as you just spoke about as well in his post, saying that we have been working with the private sector to get all of this information. Granted, it's coming in 10 days later, but there's still so much hope that this will lead to Nancy Guthrie. A Pima County Sheriff's Department said that the FBI has those new images of they said, quote, armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at Nancy Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance. And that was in a part of the statement from the Pima County Sheriff's Department as well.
Okay, so we, of course, are going to be continue to follow these new developments here on this Tuesday morning. And again, we have been hoping for any type of, I guess, break in this case. And who knows, with this suspect now being out there and this is being broadcast across everything. We just saw some of the big networks actually breaking into programming. That just goes to show you how much attention is on this case here, not only in Arizona, but across the United States. So we'll be watching this very closely.
Yeah, and one of the things that local law enforcement often speaks to us about when we talk to silent witness or the local police is they may have images of people with their face covered and their arms covered, but they always tell us that people who know the suspect will recognize the suspect.
Mannerisms, maybe they
Body
recognize the gloves that this person is wearing, the jacket that they're wearing. So you never know who's watching that might know something that could potentially be the possibility of breaking this case wide open. So hopefully that is in fact the case.
We'll continue to cover this throughout the day online and on air.
All right, we're going to switch gears here, and we have our special guest, Crystal, with us on this busy Tuesday morning because we here in Arizona are kind of on the precipice of some weather changes.
Yes, finally, right? It's been such a long time since we've had really like any changes in the weather. So good news is the temperatures are likely to slide down some, and we have the possibility of some rain and maybe even some snow. But it's going to take some time, I will say that. Do you want to take my graphic?
You're patient, Crystal. We've been waiting a long
I know. At this point, like, we're just taking a little bit longer, right? So here, since we only got a few minutes, we'll just jump right into our forecast. Today, we are a little breezy out there, already starting to pick up, and in Flagstaff, those winds will be at like 25-30 miles per hour this afternoon in Flag, and then in the valley those winds may pick up to like 15, maybe up to 20 miles per hour, so not super strong enough to knock around the pollen enough for folks that are allergy sufferers. Everybody's been saying that, right? Really starting to bother them. I think it's just we've been so warm. We've set a couple of records or been near record in the last couple of weeks, so everything's starting to bloom early, and as a result those winds not going to be helping us, and the winds actually stick around the next few days. So tomorrow's gust forecast is even a little stronger than today. 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts in Flagstaff, 20 to 25 in Phoenix, and around 30 to 40 in Bullhead City and areas out to the west. So some of the strongest winds tend to be running along the Colorado, and that is where I expect to see them tomorrow, too. Now, when it comes to our current conditions on Fox Vision, we are dry currently, but you can see not one but two separate storm systems we're watching out over the Pacific. The first one's already bringing some wet weather into California, and it's worth noting that we're not the only ones who are well behind on our snowpack. Like, most of the Mountain West is dying for snow, so this is good news that this is going to be bringing snow to much of the West. So for us on the Futurecast, today, some clouds, and then as we go overnight and into tomorrow, a few isolated shower chances, I think mostly in the northern part of the state, as you see here on the Futurecast, but otherwise in and out clouds will last into your Wednesday before they should break up some on Thursday. But it's Friday when these two systems kind of do this little dance around each other. This is Wednesday again, but watch what happens by the time we get to Friday. This system kind of finally whirls on over us and gives us the chance for some scattered shower activity. That's Friday. Spot showers like the north and eastern part of the state and a little bit of southern Arizona, but possibly into the valley as well. And then this pattern continues to allow additional storms to run through, it looks like, into next week. So the precip outlook from the Climate Prediction Center has wetter than normal conditions next week as well, which should help to drop our temperatures, guys, to the lower 70s by Friday and keep us there next week, too.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back in. We are sharing with you 4 different images that were released by the FBI Director Kash Patel just about 10-15 minutes ago. And Ty, you just noticed this as well.
So he also tweeted some videos. And so this is the video of the suspect. Now we see him walking to the front door. It looks like, I'm not exactly sure what he's trying to do here, covering his face or covering that doorbell. But it's kind of interesting. He walks away, and then the suspect then goes back, picks up like what looks like to be some plants or shrubbery that's right there by the front door, and then walks it back to the front door like he's trying to cover the camera. So this is one video. See, now he walks back with the shrubs. And then, Crystal, if you can move over to the next video. See, look, now he's got those like the pieces of plant in his hand that he's like, I don't know, maybe trying to cover the front door
as he's taking the doorbell down,
Yeah.
because there were reports that these images popped up on the doorbell cam and then it was dismantled and taken down. The problem that we had as of the press conference last Thursday, the sheriff of Pima County, Chris Nanos, mentioned that there was no subscription to this doorbell service, which appears to be a Nest, according to the video. And they were having a very difficult time getting that. And that is when the FBI came in and Kash Patel tweeted out or put out on social media about 15 minutes ago that they were working with the private sector to get these images.
And they were able to somehow figure out a way to, I guess, get this video from the night of the 31st. And now we have what appears to be our first look at the potential suspect in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie.
Very important to note that the suspect, as you mentioned as well, Ty, covered head to toe. What I think is interesting, though, is in the video is that he's turning around and you get a really clear look of the backpack, of the clothes, of the body structure of this suspect. And again, we have talked about how even though this person is covered up head to toe, you see the eyes, there's a huge potential that someone who knows this person will recognize them.
People in the chat keep asking, why did it take 9 days to get these photos? Because the camera was stolen. We heard in a press conference originally that the Guthrie family did not have a subscription to Nest or one of these other companies that basically holds this video in basically the cloud. So you're able to go back and look back. So they did not have a subscription. So that's why it took 9 days, because they had to send these cameras off. And somehow these companies were able to, I guess, get that video for the FBI. So this is why we're looking at it. And this is why it has taken 9 days.
So this is called residual data, and it is located in the camera's back-end systems. And so even though they didn't have the camera, they didn't have the subscription, they were somehow able to work, as the FBI mentioned, with the private sector partners. One would imagine that it would be the carrier of this camera to get this video.
So we just so happen to have scheduled a guest, Matt Saylor. He is the CEO of IC Realtime. You are a 20-year surveillance technology veteran. So we appreciate your time. Hold on one second.
Hi,
there
Matt.
He is. Good morning, Matt. How are you? All right, just 1 second. We're trying to get your audio. It's on our end, not yours, Matt. Just give us a second. All right, Matt, we should be good to go.
Hello, how are you today? Thank you for having me.
Let's get right to it, Matt. You're looking at this doorbell cam video, your specialty. You are an expert in this field. Break down, first of all, because we have a lot of people asking, how were we finally able to access this? What is this manner of residual data that we were able to get into? And also, what are we seeing in this doorbell cam footage that could potentially lead to this suspect or suspects?
Well, first of all, the camera, as I understand it, did not have a subscription model attached to it. And therefore, without a model, there is no data being stored because the Ring cameras don't store video data on the actual device. I'm going to assume that the way they were able to pull the video is there is residual footage that they use to cache prior to uploading in order to make sure they can rebuild the image, if you will. So if they did not have the camera and they were able to rebuild this footage from it, I'm going to assume that Nest assisted them in filling out the data from that cache and then reproducing this video. If they were able to have the physical camera on board on the camera, is a cache that would be able to give them, moments of video. So one of those two ways had to have happened in order to give them the video that you're showing me.
Let's talk about this because people, I think, put these cameras up and they have what they think is kind of a sense of security, knowing that these cameras are there. But you mentioned without that subscription, you're not being able to keep that video. And that was, I guess, a big stumbling block in this particular case with Nancy Guthrie, because in her particular case, they did not have that subscription. So they weren't easily able to access basically the cloud to get that video down, right?
Yeah, 100% accurate. We never recommend that you store your data in the cloud as a standalone. We would use cloud as a backup for redundancy purposes, but you should always have physical storage. And the doorbell cameras that are out there now, including the one we manufacture, has data on board. And it also should tie back to what we call an NVR, a network video recorder that is located on site that would give you elongated periods of time in which to store that data. But having the data only in the cloud, even if they had a subscription, which they did not, I believe, you still take large chances of the data ever reaching the cloud, because if you did not have a Wi-Fi connectivity, or if this person did have a scrambler in their backpack and they killed the Wi-Fi signal, even if they had a subscription, the data would not have made it to the cloud. So twofold, one, don't use the cloud as a mainstay. Use it as redundancy, if anything. And two, make sure you have all your storage on site.
So they sell so many cameras that you can purchase online, fairly, I guess, cheap, right? They're not super expensive cameras. You can connect them to your phone, where you could watch that data back on your phone. I know different cameras have different, different ways to watch the video, but how long will some of these last? Are these reliable ways to be able to store your footage and keep it?
In my opinion, absolutely not. You want hard data. You want it on a hard drive or a solid state drive. You do not want to rely on the cloud. Doorbell cameras are kind of misconstrued. They're really for presence alerts. A package got delivered. I want to check on my door. Real surveillance is not a doorbell camera. Doorbell camera may be an accompaniment to a surveillance system, but a real surveillance system would have caught that perpetrator pulling in the driveway. They would have had a car if they would have had one. They would have seen him walk up the driveway if he walked around the home. You should have total coverage of your property, whether it's a home or a business. And a doorbell camera is more for a convenience. You want to be notified when something's delivered. Somebody rings your doorbell. You don't want to answer the door without seeing there. They have a place, but definitely not as a mainstay for your security.
Let's talk about if folks really want to bolster security, and I think a lot of people are talking about security in the wake of, unfortunately, what's happened in Tucson. What are some ways that I guess people should shop around to find kind of the best home security for them? And you're talking about kind of a Mac Daddy system, so to speak, one that's got the everything within the house. How much are we talking about potentially spending to get one of these security systems?
First of all, I would say, don't buy an off-the-shelf system. They're consumer products. They're meant to do one thing and one thing only, which is kind of alert you for, basic things. As I said, a package being delivered, someone walking up your driveway. I would contact a real security integrator that is familiar with installing professional-grade security equipment like the products that we make, and have them come do a site survey. The vast majority of them will come on site for you for free. They'll do a walk around of your home. They'll ask you what's important. But you really want to have all of the egress and ingress protected in your home. You want to make sure that the second someone steps onto your property, whether it's your commercial property or your home, you capture them at the moment they come in, drive in, walk in the driveway, whether they walk around the side of the house, whether they come around the back of the house. You need total 360-degree coverage. So, contact a real integrator. Don't just go buy a camera and stick it on your wall and connect it to your Wi-Fi, because these things are so unreliable. And there's really great technology out there. You had made a point that it sounds like it's a very expensive expenditure. In today's world, it's not nearly as expensive as people may assume. Things have changed dramatically in security and surveillance, and you can get a really beautiful system installed for you in your home for, call it a few $1,000s installed. And, if you went back 5-6 years, that would have been $10,000 to $15,000. So, what is your peace of mind worth, right?
Sure.
I think it's worth every bit of a couple $1,000s, and I don't think that's unreasonable. And that's kind of an entry-level good system installed in your property. And should someone have had this, especially the example that you showed me, you'd have a lot more footage to go on. You'd see a lot that we don't see now. We just see a person, heavily clad, dressed well. You see their eyes, you see their clothes. Maybe someone would have familiarity with, the clothes they're wearing, the backpack that they have. Maybe from the eyes, they could tell who it was if they had, real knowledge of that person. But we missed a lot by not having a true security system installed.
Okay, so realistically, you're saying, we want every entrance covered. We want the house as secure as possible. How many cameras do you need inside, let's say, a 4-bedroom home?
I'd say a minimum of 6. And depending on, what you want to cover, you think of 6 in the way of you have 4 sides of your home. You have the front and the back, and then the 2 sides, and then you have your driveway and your walkway. Those would be the basic 6 entry points. Residentials, we do them all the time. They go up to 30 cameras, depends on the size of the property and what you wish to cover and kind of what information you wish to gather. Are you looking for facial identification? Are you looking to identify make and model of vehicles? Do you want to grab license plates? There's a variety of reasons that would kind of dictate the equipment that you install. But to answer your question, I would say 6 would be a minimum. 4 would be a bare bones minimum, but then you'd miss kind of the approaching the property if you only had 4. So 6 I would say is our minimum, requirement.
Matt, can you give us your information if folks at home are watching, they want to get some more information about the best security systems for them and how to go about installing them?
Yeah, of course. My company's name is IC Realtime. The URL is icrealtime.com. We've been doing this for over 25 years. We are a manufacturer. We sell to the integrators. And something I want to mention is you can go to our site and you can search for an integrator by your zip code, and it'll bring up several in that area. And our integrators are all happy to walk out and do a free site survey for you. They'll do an overhead, a Google layout. They'll show you where the cameras should be. They'll show you which cameras they recommend and kind of the angles and the viewing that you'll receive. And that's usually at no charge at all. And I'd highly recommend people kind of stop going with this consumer grade product and really look into more of a professional grade system. But thank you.
Great information. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You bet. All right. So we are just going to recap now kind of what we have been learning within just the past half hour now, some big developments.
FBI is releasing images this morning showing a person wearing a mask and gloves. This is captured on a Nest surveillance camera outside of Nancy Guthrie's Catalina Foothills home, just outside the Tucson, Arizona area. So the FBI saying over the last 8 days, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department have been working closely with their private sector partners to continue to recover any images. They are not releasing any type of additional information or details about this person of interest.
Again, this is all breaking within just the past half hour. We're going to continue this right here on Fox 10 Talks, as well as the news at noon on Fox 10. We appreciate you watching on this very busy Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's 11:30. We continue now with Fox 10 Talks. The whole country looking at these brand new images from a Nest cam at the home of Nancy Guthrie from the night that she was taken from her home. Des, these images hopefully can lead police to some kind of an arrest as soon as possible.
And that is the hope, right? That gets, these photos get people thinking, and maybe they know this person. There is also some video we are trying to obtain as well to be able to share that. Maybe someone recognizes his movements, but definitely going to hopefully open things up in this case here. And we are speaking with Dan O'Shea right now this morning here on Fox 10 Talks, retired Navy SEAL. Dan, thank you so much for joining us at this hour. You have a very impressive resume, a former hostage negotiator in Iraq. But with the release of these new photos, what are your thoughts on this? What is the hope here that these do in this case?
Well, now we know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this was an attack. We don't know if it's directly related to the kidnapping. A lot of speculation on if they were in there to kidnap her, they would have taken her meds, they would have treated her better, because that's ultimately the prize. But now we have irrefutable evidence that there was a planned attack. I see one body. I think there was two. Obviously we don't see anything beyond their eyes, and even then it's going to be limited. But this is a new lead. Someone out there will recognize some article of clothing, like you said, the height, the weight, the mannerisms. And let's hope that this can release that critical piece of information needed to bring Nancy Guthrie home to her family.
Okay, so Dan, we're going to roll. We see the pictures. We actually have the video now, the moving video. You can kind of see the guy's movements. You can see all the way down to his tennis shoes. Let's roll that. We're going to get your reaction to this in real time. He comes up. He's got boxing gloves, which, I mean, that's going to be obviously a key clue. But then the behavior gets really strange here, where I don't know if he's surprised that there's a camera. There's a backpack. That's going to be telltale. But look at this. He goes back off the porch and appears to grab a part of a bush and then uses that. Why is that in front of the camera? Thinking it can maybe block the view? I mean, that is such strange behavior. But now as you see the live images, or these, the rolling video, what's your take?
Well, obviously he knows the camera's there. He knows these things.
Do we lose Dan?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hang on, Dan. I see you're still there. Okay, the image has frozen for just a second. Des?
We'll get that working. But I mean, I definitely am so fascinated to hear what Dan has to say about this. But we're all watching this video together for the first time, right? So what I noticed or what stands out as kind of odd to me is that he, or this individual, I suppose could be he or she, but it seems as if this person is almost surprised that the doorbell camera would be there.
Right? Yeah.
If you planned through this and thought about this, I mean, there's a camera everywhere these days, and most people have a doorbell camera. It's a common thing to have. So to seem unprepared for that aspect.
Yeah. So he brings a backpack, which indicates he's plotted out this crime. But, and yet he does. He seems surprised, and how bizarre. I mean, I don't know if the guy's clearly thinking or if he's, all right. We got Dan ready to go. Dan, your first reaction. Des and I just kind of giving our first take, looking at the video. Sorry if you're hearing an echo, but go ahead and give us your first take on this.
Well, this is pretty breaking. I mean, this confirms beyond a shadow of a doubt that these individuals obviously had intent. They came prepared. They're making sure they can't leave any fingerprints behind. Their face were completely covered, and the backpack. And we can only wonder what was in that backpack. So now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we have a suspect that, let's hope someone out there recognizes the profile. I mean, I'm not trying to rush to judgment on this. And I'm not a cop based in Arizona, but that symbol, that mask, my first reaction was cartel. And I thought that in the initial day when I heard about this, simply for the location, proximity to Arizona and Mexico, the Mexican border there. So I think we now have finally another step in the case. Some of the stuff we know that law enforcement has been withholding. They probably didn't want to release this, but now with the desperation setting in after 10, 11 days, they've got to start showing us what they have to the public. So hopefully someone out there can recognize that individual body movements, article of clothing, maybe even the mask they're wearing or the boxing gloves, that someone will do the right thing and call in and report who this individual or individuals are.
And Dan, as a former hostage negotiator, if this evidence came across your desk, does this prove to be helpful to you? What are you examining this for, and how? Well,
bottom line is you have to prove. I mean, the hardest thing about starting the trail on where a hostage went is you got to figure out who grabbed them, because that's how you track, addresses, license plates, cell phones, pinging, things that ping. So there's all of it starts with who was responsible for those kidnapping. That's why there's been an exhaustive investigative search at the scene. But the local law enforcement, FBI, have been very tight-lipped. But releasing this image, I think, means that they've run through all the lists of, they have analysts, and especially the FBI, that will know articles of clothing, where was that face mask purchased, what make and model of that face mask. I have seen cartels wear similar style ski masks. So again, that's where my gut is telling me, but I'm not local law enforcement, but there's going to be a lot of clues that have already been analyzed. We know this video probably was recovered within hours of the incident itself. So they've had 10 days to go over that. Yeah. But what it tells you, if they're releasing this to public, they haven't been able to drill down and onto a lead. And that's why they're releasing this, that hopefully someone is going to recognize this individual or an article of clothing, and then help local law enforcement find the hunt to where this individual is, and ultimately, hopefully, bring Nancy Guthrie back home to her family safely.
So for people who are just tuning in YouTube, and we have a lot of people watching, and they really do want to get your input on this, you guys can shoot us questions in the chat box, and we'll try to get them this is Dan O'Shea, was a hostage negotiator during his time in Iraq, a retired Navy SEAL with a lot of experience dealing with situations. So would you say, Dan, that they are going to be able to, the guy looks a little on the heavy set side. I realize he's wearing, some thick clothes on a chilly night in Tucson, appears to be a little heavy set there. It looks to me, and one of our viewers was asking, are they going to be able, this is Ashley saying, can they estimate his height? And it looks like he has some facial hair. I thought so too, maybe directly above the lip and below the lip.
100%. One of the biggest kidnapping rings that we dealt with, obviously I've mentioned in previous interviews, Al-Qaeda was in the kidnapping business for a long time. We apprehended someone that was pulled out of a lineup, and this is one of those macabre where Al-Qaeda would hang the black banner behind the hostages, and then there were 3 or 4 insurgents standing behind them. One of those insurgents was taller than the others. He was a little bit more portly. He weighed well over 200 pounds. And we were able to have analysts drill down and come up with his height, his approximate weight, plus or minus 5 pounds. And ultimately, he was blacked out 100%, and his face was covered. But we were able to actually pinpoint, because of that photo forensics, we pulled him out of a lineup, and he was apprehended and brought to justice in Iraq, simply for this very similar. In fact, this video here we're seeing gives a lot more detail than a standard photograph that we had with the guy just simply standing there like in a lineup profile. So yes, there are critical clues that can be pulled out of this. But again, this video needs to go widespread, especially in the Arizona community. So someone out there knows who this individual is and can identify them and needs to report them to local law enforcement and the FBI.
And Dan, we have so many questions for you in our chat, rightfully so, surrounding this. One of them coming in from Brandy the Bookworm. She wants to know, what is your opinion on the fact that the cutoff day has come and gone as far as the ransom, I'm assuming here, with no proof of life? What do you think of that?
Well, that's what's got everyone very concerned, and all the professionals I've been sharing these shows on, the former FBI agents and law enforcement. We all think that every day this goes by, it means the odds are going away, and it's just troubling. And what's got me very concerned, this individual spent more than 40 minutes on the property and left behind these critical meds, and that alone has got everyone concerned. And they have not operated in a traditional kidnap or ransom mode. They went to the media to get this out, so not directly to the family, and they haven't tried to negotiate in good faith. If they really wanted money, they would have started a negotiation directly with Savannah Guthrie and the family. They would have literally called her cell phone or her number or reached out to her somewhere beyond going to the news media networks alone. And even if they didn't get a hold of Savannah Guthrie's personal cell, they could have reached out to her network, and they certainly would have put them in direct communication. That has not happened, which makes a lot of us concerned and worried as this drags out, because every day goes by, odds are reducing that we're going to have a happy ending here, and that's unfortunately what I think is the reality we have to start addressing.
All right, Dan, and going off of what you said, so with that being said, do you think an organized crime group could be responsible for something like this? If, like you mentioned, they spent a lot of time in the house, but they left behind the critical meds, and they're seeming, this guy here on surveillance video kind of making mistakes, going back to grab the shrub to cover the camera.
Well, that's why everyone. Well, you can tell he's prepared. He's got a mask. Listen, he's got a mask on. He looks intimidating. Anyone showing up at your house at night wearing a ski mask is up to no good, and that's the concern. And the fact that when she left the front house, she went through that same doorway, the ground, the blood on the ground. So, I mean, we understand she was on blood thinners, and that can give you propensity to bleed easier than normal. But still, that was very concerning. So, was it a professional kidnapping ring, or was it some thugs? Was it a robbery that went wrong? But again, they didn't steal anything from the house. So, I am more and more concerned that there was evil intent in this. Just in the way the guy's dressed tells you that they had something nefarious in plan. So but again, this is a good lead. This is the first lead that's been released to the public in a few days, and hopefully this will, get something that someone will recognize and be able to report in.
Dan, we have people watching all around the world now on YouTube, and I think we've got more questions coming in. Are you able to stick with us after the break?
Oh, absolutely. No,
okay.
This is important. I've been doing this 24/7, and I hate having to be called for this type of stuff, because this is brings back the worst struggle of 2 years of my life dealing with this. But I'm very familiar with this,
okay.
and let's keep the questions rolling, please.
Here's that break. We'll be right back. right, we welcome you back here. It's Ron and Des, and this is Fox 10 Talks. We come from Phoenix, Arizona, live every morning from 10 a.m. till noon on YouTube. I know we have a lot of people that are brand new to this feed, so we're glad you're with us, and we're as interactive as we could possibly be. So please bring your questions. We are live with a retired Navy SEAL with a lot of experience on hostage negotiation. It's Dan O'Shea. So, Dan, another question that we wanted to, as we continue to take a look at some of these newest images that have come in, and yeah, that's the picture I think that shows the facial hair perhaps as much as any. But let's take one step back as we take a look at these images, and hopefully, people are phoning in the tips like crazy. And don't forget, there's a $50,000 reward out there. Somebody in Tucson, no doubt, is going to know who that guy is, whether it's based on the shoes or the backpack or the face mask he's wearing, or even what appears to be a gun in a holster right there in his waistband. But Dan, I wanted to get your take, just to take one step back to yesterday. There's been so much focus on the, the note that was dropped off at TMZ and a local television station, ransom note, with a deadline of Friday, and then secondly, a deadline of Monday. And based on your experience of how quickly hostage takers or kidnappers operate, was there anything about the way the timeline played out? And deadline number one, and in case you don't do that one, here's deadline number two. What was your take on all of that, and how skeptical were you right out of the chute that those notes were actually coming from the direct people involved?
Well, it's not that it's not about the coming from what person or not. The concern is it really a kidnap for ransom? I mean, the initial demand I heard was $4 million. I've also now heard it was $1 million. I have not seen the notes. The second note that was released, which reportedly has not been released to the media, was $6 million. But again, the way kidnapping normally works, they make direct communication. They establish bona fides that they're actually talking to the family, and that the family is talking to, or the company, or the country, the leadership of the country is talking to the kidnappers directly. Because again, a lot of the crazies will come out, and you have to presume that some crazy ransom demands, especially the Bitcoin ones, are going to come from just random folks who think maybe I can make a quick buck fast. So because none of the previous ransom demands had proof of life, I thought it meant that it's suspect that the individuals sending these messages, they may be affiliated with the kidnapping individuals, but they're probably not the individuals themselves. And then there were some other clues. They asked for in USD and US dollars, which, anyone in the US would do. You don't have to say that. It's too obvious, which led people to think maybe these kidnappers or whoever's sending these notes is from overseas, which, again, you have to look at the border, and you have to look at who has a propensity for violence that's going to be aggressive enough to draw blood on an 84-year-old woman. And, again, my mind keeps going in dark spaces, and it keeps going towards the cartel and towards Mexico. And like I said, a lot of clues are going to come out of that video that's just been aired, and let's hope it leads somewhere. But this is a new development, but it confirms that whoever went to go grab her had malicious intent, and the way he's dressed, the backpack, the gloves, and more importantly, the ski mask, those are all just telltale signs.
Yeah, and we're seeing clearly from these images, which are very clear, right? I mean, these are nice, crisp images. You can see what he's wearing. You can clearly see the backpack. We can even see the gun, and even better so in the video. And we are getting some talk, Dan, in the chat. Some folks are saying they see a mustache hair, or, facial hair, potentially thick eyebrows. But then we have another questioning, well, how do we know this is a man, or can we make that assumption? So what clues from this person's stature, build, the way they're moving, can indicate, this is a man, this is a woman?
Well, all those are, they're going to have people looking at that, and they're going to be someone has already determined the height and weight of this individual, without question. And probably, hopefully, when they went back and did that extensive forensic sweep a couple days ago, they were able to collect more information, more details. But again, the kidnappers, you can say it was a bungled home invasion or whatnot, but they were smart enough to know they did not want to leave prints behind. And had they left definitive prints, then there would have been a lead that would have been followed up. And if we're believing what the law enforcement has been putting out up to this morning, including the FBI, that there were no persons of interest still on the list. So now we have a person of interest and an image of that individual. Hopefully this is going to lead somewhere for everyone. And most importantly, a flood of tips and whatnot coming into the tips line.
Okay, so one of our most loyal everyday viewers, Sherry, Nevada Pup, is asking, can you ask, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but can you tell us why they waited 10 days to put these photos and videos out? Would it have taken that long to process this, to get it back from, whether they were working with Nest or something along those lines? Or is there something about the timeline that yesterday at 5 p.m. was the deadline and now they feel comfortable enough putting the video out there? Which side would you come down on that?
Well, listen, they never give out information. And I know being on the backside of this, you had to be very careful about how much information you would release to the families and whatnot over the course of this for obvious reasons. The challenge was, I heard initially that they got nothing off that camera. There was, quote, movement. It could have been an animal. That was the story for the last 10 days. So that, so everyone presumed like, well, there's no guarantee that they got any video and that the fact, quote, she didn't pay the monthly bill, so that the Nest organization wanted to have a video record of these individuals. And now all of a sudden, 10 days later, boom, we're seeing the guy who was responsible. I mean, let's just be honest. That gentleman is responsible for the abduction. Was he alone? We don't know yet, but we now have a visual suspect. Now, for 10 days, we weren't told there was anything of note from that video. So what it tells me, they went back out to do a complete forensic scrub, 4 days ago, 4 days ago. That probably ended up, they didn't get anything out of it. So now they're like, okay, let's release this video and see what else. So they've been very clear that the law enforcement local, until the FBI showed up, they've been running into dead ends. And I think the fact that they're now releasing this video shows that they're like, let's see if we can get someone to put in more information. We know that hundreds, if not thousands, of phone calls have come into the hotline. Those calls are probably dried up. So this is going to be an effort to re-energize those tip lines and hopefully get leads that are going to come in. Because this is a pretty substantial development. And they probably were holding, I guarantee the other caveat, they were withholding this video until that 5 p.m. suspension came and went because they didn't want to jeopardize the case. Because just put yourself in the mind of the bad guy. Your deadline's coming to 5 o'clock. You're waiting for the money to get wired by that Bitcoin account. And lo and behold, your now image is on the screen, and you're now sitting there scared. What are you going to do? And I know this from my experience in Iraq. The Americans did not negotiate. We did not do a lot of hostage negotiation. All the families and countries and others that I advised on, quote, hostage negotiations were either local Iraqis or foreign nationals, like the French, the Germans, the Italians. But the U.S., we weren't going to negotiate with hostages. We were going to hunt them down and take them out. And if the bad guys knew we were coming or had intel on them, they would go to ground and sometimes, presumably, kill the hostage, bury the hostage, and then get out of Dodge. So that's another reason why this image was held up for as long as it was. But we've reached that crossroads. We're past that 5 p.m. deadline, and the case is probably going cold a little bit. So that's why that image was released, to hopefully generate new leads.
Right, and that makes sense, right? You're telling the public, oh, we don't know if we caught movement, but we don't have an image. Is that in hopes that the captor, who this person is on video, maybe potentially makes a mistake because they're thinking, well, you know what? They have no clue. They have not a clue as to, who I could potentially be. Also, Dan, in your experience, we have some more. Well, let's get to some more questions in the chat. There are so many.
I'll jump in with one right here, Des. So Jennifer is saying, I'm going to kind of forward her question, which is, let's think about this for a second. 10 days in a row now, law enforcement has said there were no images. Software detected that there might have been a person. And so Jennifer is making the point, holy cow, they are probably in the last 30 minutes suddenly realizing they are caught on camera and they may be easily identifiable. What, based on your experience, if this was a larger organization or if it was just a lone kidnapper / hostage taker, what would that person be like, literally hopping in the car and try to get as far away as possible? Or do you think maybe they've already left town?
Well, I believe, again, my gut now, even especially after seeing that image, so first off, if it was a robbery and money was intended, it was a lone wolf, they would have grabbed everything out of the house and they would have left. They might have beat the woman up or that kind of thing, which drew the blood, but it would have been a home invasion. Get what you can, then go. I've always been of the suspicion in the last 10 days that those hostage demands were really to spin up a bunch of red herrings, get the cops and law enforcement going off in different directions to let me get away, put time and space. But now, as that reader just wrote in, submitted that question, his image, that guy now knows, holy crap, even though it's not a clear photo of him, image of him, it's enough where, again, his height and weight, that the mustache, someone's going to recognize something. Someone who knows him is going to see a slice screenshot and go, I think that is this guy. So and now he's running scared. And that's probably why they didn't do it before the 5 p.m. deadline, because it's a game of like, how much do we escalate this? And at the forefront is why hostage takings are so challenging, is that you've got a live hostage and you don't want to scare the kidnappers enough to think, let's cut our losses and bury the evidence and get out of here. And that's why they're in such a challenging position to release intelligence like that
Dan,
early on, before they've exhausted all the leads.
Mm-hmm. Dan, we only have like a minute left. Your quick answer, because it's come up a couple times. Folks are wondering, do you believe she's still alive?
Listen, my gut tells me something, but my heart tells me something else. I'm going to continue to pray for her, as we all need to, and let's not give up on hope. Mm-hmm. Be prepared for the worst, but let's not give up on hope. You never can give up on hope.
All right, this is Dan O'Shea. We've been talking to a retired Navy SEAL with years of hostage negotiating experience. We're hoping that we could spend some time talking about your time serving overseas in the U.S. military in dealing with the worst of the worst there in Iraq with some of the terrorist organizations that were there. But Dan, your perspective has been outstanding. It does, I think, fill in some of the blanks. And let's just hope by this time tomorrow we can announce an arrest.